How many times can a clinician wear a mask? And is that safe?
Yeah, again, it really it depends on the circumstances. So on 2 South, again, what we're doing to conserve PPE is that, the nurse will first, start taking care of the patient wearing a mask, an N95 mask, a gown, gloves. When she's done caring for that patient in that moment, she actually will take the mask off, put it in a brown paper bag, remove the gown, put it, the dirty side, we'll say, to the door, and then step out of the room. We'll then put on their regular, everyday mask that all of us are wearing. But each time she goes back into that room for that same patient, she'll put that same gown and mask back on. So that's kind of the reuse, the extended use. And they'll do that until, if the gown or the mask becomes soiled, unusable, concerned about its integrity, then we would replace it at that time. So it really depends on the circumstances. So, if you're a unit secretary working on a nursing unit and you really don't go into the patient rooms, but you're out there in the nursing area supporting the team, you might be wearing a mask that you're wearing every single day that doesn't need to be replaced. But if you're going into those high contact areas, and again, especially if you have a COVID positive patient, we want to make certain that they have the right PPE and that it's changed out as appropriate. Now, you've been probably hearing about a number of decontamination techniques that are being pursued. One of them is ultraviolet light, that there's a belief, and some hospitals are doing this, that bringing the mask in and subjecting it to intense ultraviolet light for a period of time can disinfect the mask and then allow it to be reused almost essentially as a brand new mask. Then aerosolized hydrogen peroxide, things we pour on cuts and it bubbles up, and to literally aerosolize that around the mask is also another approach that's being considered, although it kind of leaves a film and a smell on the mask that people don't particularly like. So the one thing that we're very interested in that's being used at Stanford Medical Center is dry heat, where they are taking masks, both surgical masks and N95 masks, and essentially putting them in an oven at 170 degrees and putting in them there for 30 minutes. And they're a research hospital as well, so in their laboratory, they actually took masks that under a microscope, they had the COVID virus on them. They put them in the oven, did the 30 minutes at 170, took them out, put them back under the microscope, and there was no virus whatsoever. So that's a technique. The CDC hasn't come out yet and endorsed that, but it is a technique that they are using that we very easily could implement here, which again, depending on how this virus plays out in a surge in the apex, that could be something, if supplies continue to be scarce, that we would start doing.